I, 31 male, inherited my parents' house and became the guardian of my two nephews, teen male and tween male, about 7 years ago. Before he died, my dad was in the middle of renovating the basement, so each nephew would have a large bedroom with their own bathroom. To honour my dad, I finished the renovation and each nephew had their own room and bathroom with the specs my dad had made. He was an architect. About this time, I graduated from law school. I was having a tough time finding a job, so I decided to start my own firm. It's worked out very well for me financially, so I get to spoil my nephews a fair bit. But they're good kids, respectful, courteous and great students. 3 years ago I met a woman. Her family is a train wreck. She has no relationship with her extended family because they're involved in this extremely conservative religious church cult. Her parents escaped but are not equipped for parenting. They had 5 daughters, my girlfriend, 26, and her sisters, ages pre-tween teen female. My girlfriend and I talked about moving in together and did so 2 years ago. A little over a year ago, she approached me about moving in with her sisters. Her parents are still the legal parents of the sisters, but they cannot hold down jobs, etc. My nephews and I discussed about the sisters moving in. They agreed, but only if they had their rooms and bathrooms. I said absolutely and told my girlfriend. This meant the 4 sisters would share 2 small bedrooms and a small bathroom. The living arrangement has been rough. The girls are on top of each other and constantly bickering. My girlfriend has asked if we could have 2 of her sisters share one of the basement bathrooms. I said no. My girlfriend makes less than 1/10 of what I do. My girlfriend and I split groceries and utilities, but I pay for all the other shared expenses. Other than paying for standard living expenses, I do not pay for many things for the girls. My perspective is that it's for their parents and or my girlfriend to do. I buy things for my nephews like concert tickets, video game systems, movie tickets, etc. Things came to a head recently because my oldest nephew and girlfriend's oldest sister have birthdays only about a month apart. For my girlfriend's sister's teen birthday, I bought her some makeup and a nice purse. It was about $100 total. My nephew wanted to take his girlfriend to a Taylor Swift concert. I got him 2 concert tickets to go in about a month. I also bought him a car. My girlfriend's sister felt some type of way. She is a Swiftie and hates my nephew's girlfriend. They go to the same school. After his birthday, my girlfriend called me an idiot. She said she was tired of me favouring my nephews and it needs to change. I told her that my nephews are my responsibility, but her sisters are not. I bought her sister a nice gift, but I'm not going to treat them like my nephews. My friend group is divided, so trying to get perspective here. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your girlfriend has literally forced you to provide shelter for her sisters. Still, you never agreed to be financially responsible for them. OP, you're together with someone who has a lot of burdens. She didn't have these kids, but she did feel responsible for helping them. She was also clearly using you to help her help them. However, I don't see how you can have a romantic relationship with her and not have a lot of issues, given that she's supporting them and you're supporting your nephews all under one roof. Also, the parents are probably receiving government benefits for those children. Wake up, OP. I think it's a lot for you to house her plus 4 minor females. I don't think you can be as hands-off as you'd like. I think you have to accept her and her 4 sisters fully, which I do agree is grossly unfair, or you should end this. Anything else is going to be drama. Yes, he's being used. Been there, done that. He needs to splash some cold water on his face, go camping in the wilderness for a weekend, and start caring for himself. That's how he can be the best father for his nephews. He needs to end this. He is inheriting a world of stress, and it's in his home. Sometimes love isn't enough. He's not the father of her sisters. My brother Matt, 30, is engaged to Evelyn, 32 female. Matt is our parents' bio son. I'm 25 female, their adopted daughter. We have another sister who is a bio and 2 more brothers who are adopted. Our parents fostered many kids and adopted some of us. I always knew I was adopted. I was removed from an unsafe environment and didn't have any safe bio relatives. My bio family is tiny in terms of known members, and none are good people. I'm glad I was adopted. I feel so lucky to have found a family who embraced the fact we were not biologically connected, but loved us the same and didn't try to make it shameful. Those of us who were adopted have our own circumstances for being so. One of my brothers was orphaned and his biological parents wanted a family who would love and take care of him, and he got that with us. Matt's fiancée Evelyn was adopted as an infant and she has a lot of feelings about that. I understand why she has some complicated feelings regarding being adopted and why she feels like her parents bought a child because they wanted one versus wanting to give a child a good life. Her adoptive parents wanted to erase her bio side and shamed her for ever having an interest in it, and they talked badly about her birth family her whole life. I don't think that was right or okay. But Evelyn is obsessed with making every adoptee feel the same way she does. She's spoken negatively about my parents robbing 3 kids of their rights to have legal access to their biological family history and identity. She suggested I was brainwashed by CPS into believing I was removed for safety reasons from my birth family and had no safe birth relatives. Spoiler alert, all my known birth relatives have been to prison multiple times, and yes, I looked them up. She's told me I'm just traumatized and afraid to speak out and say I was denied my real family. I told her that's not how I feel. She told me it's how we all feel, that adopted kids are products in the US. I told Matt I couldn't take that, and I need to see him and Evelyn less if she can't stop. She keeps seeking me out though, and on Saturday, while she was in my parents' home and tried to bring it up again, I snapped. I couldn't stand her talking like that about the people who were in the home, and I told her to grow up and accept people are different because only kids think everyone should feel the same, and that she needed to stop putting her anger and trauma on me because we don't feel the same. She said I was spiteful throwing that in her face. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. That girl needs some serious therapy to get over her issues instead of projecting them onto other people. Frankly, you were a lot more diplomatic than I would have been. What's your brother's take on her behaviour? Has he stepped in? Asked to knock it off? You all are obviously a family, parents, bio, non-bio. Where the heck does she get off with these comments? Your brother needs to grow a pair. He's as much of a problem as she is. While she's entitled to her views and feelings, she isn't allowed to weaponize them to be contemptuous towards others. She's crapping all over her partner's siblings and parents, and he's allowing it. He cannot sit in his parents' house and in front of all his siblings and allow her to be so disgustingly offensive. His silence is the issue, and honestly, I would wonder if he doesn't secretly agree with her perspective. Because why else would he say nothing to her when she's acting like this? She keeps bringing it up because she's not trying to convince you. She's trying to convince herself that her entire worldview is the correct one because she's invested so much mental and emotional energy into it over the years. She's going to learn the hard way that people have different views than her. You gave her a pretty gentle start. You did the best you could to try to handle her on this. My ex and I, both 30, separated after the birth of our twins pre-tween years ago. We'd only dated for 14 months when she got pregnant. We only stayed together during the pregnancy because we wanted to try to be a family for our kids' sake. But she met someone else and fell for him and wanted to have a chance at love. Our separation was amicable enough. We co-parented well for the first 2 years. But when she met her husband, not the guy she fell in love with during our relationship, things changed. He was a single father and sole provider for his daughter, who was the same age as our kids, and she declared I would be responsible for including her like she was my child too, if I was buying gifts or doing anything fun with our kids. This started us on a bad path, and now we parallel parent instead of co-parent because I was expected to babysit her stepchild and nephew and now younger daughter when I wanted to have fun with my kids, and I was supposed to spend equally across all kids for gifts. Ex and I have 50-50 custody. Nobody pays child support because we both have our kids an equal amount of time. My kids and I are close. I do not include the other children at their mum's house when I have them, and I do not interact with those other children. 3 years ago, their stepdad's nephew moved in with them. A year later, their mum and stepdad had a baby daughter together, so they have a stepsister, step-cousin, and half-sister at that house, and my ex is expecting again, potentially. This is partially where the fight comes from. The kids' school is small, so they're in the same class as the steps, and they have a class trip coming up in November to an interactive museum. It's expensive for a class trip at their age, but I can afford it and the kids want to go, so I paid. But my ex was angry. She and her husband can't afford to send the stepdaughter and nephew, and my ex told me I should either pay for all 4 to go or all 4 could miss it. I said no. I told her I had the right to pay for them to go, and the trip would fall during my parenting time so I could send them. Her husband told me I was sabotaging their family and being an idiot to kids who get to see their family go on the class trip they can't be a part of. He told me I should care more about all the kids. My ex backed him, of course, and said the kids hating each other would all be on me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You have zero responsibility towards children so wholly unrelated to you, and frankly, if you start, there will be a never-ending series of demands. To be honest, if they can't afford to pay for the trips, why on earth are they potentially having another child? Where are the step and nephew's parents in all this? Where are all the bio-grandparents? You do need to make sure that your children are not being penalised by the mother and stepfather whilst they're with them. I dread to think what will happen when you help your kids through college. Her husband told me I was sabotaging their family. Sounds like Mr. Big Talk needs to get a better job or start budgeting for extras for his children. You have no moral or financial responsibility or obligation to anyone but your children. Life's not fair. You can afford to fund certain things for your children. You're not responsible for another couple's finances or children. Honestly, he is a single father who pays for his 2 kids. They have 2 incomes and can't swing for the other 2 to go on the trip. Sounds more like they're expecting him to pay so they can keep the money in their pockets. Track everything. I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend Sarah, 26, for over a year. While I love her, there's one thing that's been eating at me since the very beginning: her relationship with her male best friend, Jake, 27 male. Jake has been Sarah's ride or die since college, and I knew from the start that they were close, but I didn't realize how much it would impact our relationship. I've always tried to be the chill, trusting boyfriend. I don't want to be the guy who's threatened by a platonic friendship, but honestly, it's gotten to the point where I feel like I'm the third wheel in my own relationship. Jake and Sarah are practically inseparable. They hang out multiple times a week, dinners, movie nights, spontaneous late-night drives, and I'm usually not even invited. If I try to join, it's awkward, like I'm crashing their private joke-filled world that I'm not a part of. It stings, but I try to let it go to keep the peace. But then things started to cross a line. Jake texts her constantly, even when we're together on dates. It's not just casual stuff either. He calls her babe and sweetheart. And when I brought this up to Sarah, she laughed and said it was just their thing and that it didn't mean anything. Apparently they've been calling each other that for years. But to me, it feels like there's more to it. Who calls their best friend babe when they're in a relationship? Then, that night, I stayed over at her place and woke up at 2 a.m. to find Sarah on FaceTime with Jake. She giggled like a schoolgirl, whispering so she wouldn't wake me. When I asked her about it the next morning, she brushed it off, saying Jake needed someone to talk to. But what about me? Am I just here as background noise while she stays emotionally tethered to this guy? The final straw came last weekend. Sarah and I had been planning a special weekend getaway for our 1-year anniversary, something we'd been looking forward to for months. But out of nowhere, Jake invites her to a concert the same weekend. Sarah asked me if we could postpone our anniversary trip so she could go with Jake instead because it's a band they both absolutely love. I was floored. Our anniversary, something we'd been planning for months, could just be rescheduled for Jake? It was like I didn't even matter. I told her that this was too much. I asked her to set some clear boundaries with Jake, like no more pet names, no more hanging out one-on-one all the time, and no more prioritizing him over our relationship. She blew up at me, calling me controlling and insecure. She even said, "You knew Jake was part of my life when we started dating. Why are you trying to change me now?" Things got worse when Jake apparently told her that I was being toxic and trying to manipulate her. Sarah is siding with him, saying I'm overreacting and that nothing has happened between them. She's now furious with me for giving her an ultimatum, when all I really asked for were some boundaries that would make me feel like I'm her boyfriend, not just a side character in her life with Jake. Now Sarah's giving me the silent treatment, and I'm starting to feel like I've somehow become the villain in my own relationship. Am I losing my mind here? I'm not asking her to drop Jake completely, just to prioritize us and respect our relationship, but maybe I've been unreasonable. The only time a platonic phone call happens after 2 a.m. is when something horribly wrong is happening or someone needs a sober driver from a bar. Everything else is beyond platonic. OP, Jake isn't the third person in the relationship, he's the first person. Do everyone a favor and end this thing now. You'll be doing Sarah a favor. She can have Jake. You will be doing Jake a favor. He can have Sarah. Most of all, though, you will be doing yourself a huge favor because you can find someone who sees you as her ride or die and someone who is actually loyal to you because, after all, loyalty is the single most important factor in friendship. Not being nice or liking the same things. Sarah does not believe she needs to be loyal to you. You know how I know? We can only truly know what we believe versus what we think we believe by watching how we act. Her actions speak volumes. Yeah, like spontaneous late-night drives. Bullcrap spontaneous late-night hookups, probably. I suspect Jane is her moon that she doesn't want to settle on but doesn't want to let go of the attention he gives her. Otherwise, why aren't they together if they've been so close since college? Opie also doesn't mention Jake's status, but I'm going to say he's single because he's waiting for her to see the light. Update. First, thank you all for the amazing support you all have given me. I was done being second place in my own relationship, and I was ready to walk away. But what happened next surprised me. Saturday night, Sarah came over to talk. I was prepared to have the breakup conversation, but before I could get a word in, she told me something unexpected. She'd cancelled the concert plans with Jake. She said that after our last conversation she realised how serious I was, and it made her think about everything. She told me she'd been selfish and that she'd been taking our relationship for granted. She said she'd told Jake she couldn't go to the concert and instead she wanted to spend the weekend with me. No distractions, no third wheels, just us. I was honestly shocked. Part of me didn't believe it. For months I'd been asking her to set boundaries with Jake and suddenly she was doing it. It felt surreal, like a last-minute effort to save something that was already broken. But she seemed sincere. She apologised, not just for the concert situation, but for all the time she'd ignored my feelings, dismissed my concerns, and prioritised Jake over us. She admitted she'd been blind to how much it hurt me and said she didn't want to lose me. It was emotional. She was crying and I could see how much it scared her that I was about to walk away. For the first time in a long time, it felt like she was choosing me. But here's the thing. As much as I appreciated her apology, it didn't magically fix everything. I told her that while cancelling the concert was a good step, it didn't erase all the hurt. I still felt like I'd been competing with Jake for too long, and trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. We ended up spending the weekend together as planned. We didn't go on the big anniversary trip, but we stayed in, cooked together, and had long conversations about everything: our relationship, Jake, and the future. It was a roller coaster of emotions. There were moments where I felt like maybe we could make this work, but also there were moments that felt like the damage was too deep to repair. By today, I was emotionally drained. Sarah seemed to think things were heading in the right direction, but I still wasn't sure. I needed space to think. So I told her we should take a break, give each other some time to reflect and see if this relationship was something we both wanted to fight for. She didn't take it well. She cried again, begged me not to go, and said she'd prove to me that she was serious about changing. But I needed to be alone to clear my head without the constant push and pull of emotions. So I left. I haven't spoken to her since. We agreed to give it a couple of weeks before we decide anything, but to be honest, I'm still leaning toward ending things for good.